Oh, I think we're live. So welcome everybody to this remote interview. My name is Lisette and I'm interviewing people and companies doing great things remotely. And I'm totally excited today because I saw this on a webinar last week, but I have with me today Marcus Rosenthal and Jeff Goldsmith. Jeff, you're on the KUBI, which is what we're here to talk about. So, and yeah, we're here to talk about KUBI, which in Japanese means neck. And I have on your website, it's the world's first portable video teleconference device.
Yes.
So welcome you guys. I'm totally, as people that know me know, I'm a huge fan of telepresence. So this is just another step down the rabbit hole of telepresence that I'm going down. But it's pretty exciting because it's very mobile, and that's kind of a key issue, and the price point. So we're going to get into that. But maybe before we start, let's start with a quick question of, when you guys work remotely, what does your anywhere office look like? Give us a view of where you guys are working.
I mean, Jeff, maybe you want to talk about where you're working right now, because he's actually remote. So I'm sitting in our office in San Francisco, but he's out in Oakland.
I'm out in Oakland, and I actually have a view of the bay, which is behind me. This is not the bay. It's Lake Merritt. So that's where I am.
I'm homesick already. I used to work on Lake Merritt.
I'm soon to be getting in my car, driving across the Bay Bridge into San Francisco, and I can look at Marcus, and I can look around the office, and we have other KUBIs in the office. So if I need to meet with someone else, I can move to the other KUBI and meet with them.
Okay, so you basically you beam in and beam out, or I don't know if you have another terminology that you use for it.
We haven't decided on the name of it yet, but we're considering calling it teleporting because everyone understands what that means.
Awesome. And everybody wants to teleport, right?
Yeah. You can never be in enough places at once, and and we'll show you some teleporting. Granted, this will just be here around our office, but even that is very useful. So it's like someone remote can now go and interact with everyone.
There's a restaurant owner in Japan that owns 4 or 5 restaurants. I can't quite remember, and he teleports from restaurant to restaurant to check in on a daily basis with his cooks and so forth.
Brilliant. So are they carrying him around, or are you connected?
There's KUBIs in each of the 4 locations. They're in different cities.
Right, but I mean, the KUBI in the restaurant, I mean.
Exactly, in the kitchens, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they leave it in one location, and then he's in the kitchen, and he can turn and interact with everyone. So for the most part, people aren't really moving KUBI around. They decide on a location for it, and it stays there. We do have a KUBI cart that is a mobile cart. It's not motorized. It's just it's really designed for telemedicine applications. And so that one does make it easy to adjust where you put the KUBI. But it's still not motorized, which most of our customers are finding they actually like that, the simplicity and the low cost, and they just really concentrating on that interaction of the ability to look around.
Right. I think that mobility is actually kind of one of the key points of telepresence, which is, I mean, so say, if you don't have any video, you've completely you've lost sight, which is, one of the 5 senses. But when you have mobility, it's almost like you have an extra sense there. You're adding just another layer of sense. And I think it makes a significant jump in engagement. It's sort of surprisingly significant, I would say.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we're hearing from all of our customers, because Jeff and I have been talking to a lot of them recently that we see a lot of our early customers as beta testers that are giving us feedback as we shape what our product offering is and the software. And they're all telling us that's what is really so great about KUBI, is that it makes their meetings or any interactions more engaging by having that ability to look around. And so I know right now Jeff is looking toward you, and so his attention is toward you. But if I'm going to have a conversation with Jeff, he can turn and look toward me, and I don't have to worry about there's not is Jeff seeing what he wants to see? Do I need to make the adjustment for him? And it's not dizzying from somebody trying to hold an iPad.
Which is actually a significant problem that I hear on a lot of remote teams is that ability, if you're the only one in the office that's not remote and you're in the conference room, they've just got you on a laptop somewhere in the corner and you're missing half of everything because people
Right.
are moving around and drawing on the whiteboard and
Yeah, that's what we really wanted to make it so that that person has full control to interact just as if they would have been there. Because, in reality, most meetings, people aren't actually, you're not touching anything. It's more about the conversation. People might be drawing on the whiteboard and those kind of things. But now this remote person both has a presence and is able to interact with everyone else there.
right. And I was thinking, the difference between the Beam Pro or the double robotics, these ones that you can drive from your laptop is, I mean, you can drive it to a meeting, but most of the time you're just sitting there once you get to the meeting or once you're at the conference anyway. So it's like, and it's kind of a pain. When I went to a conference, I went to one that had stairs. And so every time I had to go to a new conference room, I had to have somebody like take me down the flight of stairs and push the elevator button for me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, think about, okay, every once in a while you'll go on a walk with someone and have a conversation, but most of the times that you're having, meaningful interactions, especially on a business setting or medical or education, you're in one location. So the ability to move around isn't where, the most value is. That you want to be able to have that natural ability to turn and interact. And with the roaming robots, I believe the Beam, you can steer the camera a little bit, but if you want to turn to look at somebody, you actually have to turn the whole robot. So it's like
Right.
kind of awkward. It's like being like this, and it's like, it's just a little weird and kind of disruptive in a meeting. And so this is just much, more natural for people.
And now, Jeff, do you stay? Oh, sorry.
You could buy a whole suite of KUBIs and put them in every conference room at the conference you went to and simply go from one KUBI to the next. Again, teleporting we think it's superior to roaming around and the time it takes to get between locations. If the Wi-Fi drops out, your roaming robot is stuck.
Totally. I asked a lot of people for help during that conference when I was with the Beam Pro. I mean, there were stairs, the Wi-Fi wasn't consistent. I mean, it was, it's a brilliant object, but it's
Yeah, I mean, we have some distance learning customers that have used some of the roaming robots, and they said that they literally, well, two things. First, they had to let the student leave class 10 minutes early to have enough time to get to their next class. Second, they had to have another kid kind of babysit it, so there had to be another kid leave early. And then it ended up that the kids just started carrying it because they're like, "Oh, this thing's so slow." And so now they had like another kid carrying this thing, and it was just kind of awkward. So now, those same ones, initially they're deploying it where they've stuck it onto a cart. They didn't have the money for a KUBI cart, so they just went, screwed it onto a library. They had a library cart around, and they said it worked great. And the other student can push it around, put their backpack on there, and everything.
brilliant. Brilliant. So now, did you guys start in the medical field? Because, when I saw the KUBI cart and all of this, I thought, oh, of course, telepresence in medicine seems like something that comes up as soon as you talk about telepresence at all. It's like education and medicine seem to be the two most popular. But how did you guys start?
No, we started really trying to create something that was more for the remote worker, the telecommuter, and that sort of thing. And we have many customers in that space, but the ones that are really finding that we're the best solution for it are in the distance learning and telemedicine. That those two, specifically, there aren't other great solutions that solve that problem at the affordable price point because they want to, schools want to put this in every classroom. And if they need to go spend tens of thousands of dollars on a robot, they can't afford it. They're going to have like one per school.
Right.
And then, same thing with hospitals, that they don't want to have, a doctor spending time driving a robot from room to room if they can even do it with all the closed doors and things that might be in the way. They'd rather just have one in each room that they can have there, and with the cart they can easily maneuver it around if they have different medical equipment, but it resides in that room with the patient.
I see.
And for home care, you want to send a telepresence device home with the patient, with the outpatient, so you can check in with them, right? You can't send this gigantic device home with them.
Right.
We could even drop ship it FedEx to your home to make sure you're doing your knee exercises so your knee surgery turns out okay.
Yeah, and
Right.
those ones, they usually want to deploy it with like a 4G tablet, so you don't have to worry about the quality of the patient's Wi-Fi at home, if they even have it.
Right. I was thinking, when I moved to the Netherlands, I spoke to my grandmother every day. She lives in Utah. And so I would call her on Skype every day because she worried. So if I called her, she wouldn't worry. And so I thought, oh, that's good. But I thought, oh man, and when I learned about the roaming robots, I thought it would have been great to have a roaming robot to put into her house. I mean, of course, it'd be a lot of money to do something like that. But I mean, with a KUBI, I wouldn't have thought twice. I would have just put it in her house and bought an iPad, and then then I could talk to her. We could actually see each other, and I think the KUBI wouldn't be too weird, even for an older generation.
Yeah, and
Whereas a
yeah.
robot would have freaked her out, I'm sure of it.
I mean, because everybody's already used to having, an iPad or
Right.
laptop and doing Skype, FaceTime, those sorts of interactions. That everybody's comfortable with that, and so now, if there's just that added ability that they can turn it and move it, the remote person, that's huge, and especially for elderly parents. Like a lot of our customers are like, they don't want to put their parents into a full-time care home, nursing home, but they're a little worried about whether they're going to be safe, and they're doing remember to take their medications and those sorts of things. So now
Right.
both their kids or their doctor can just easily pop in and make sure everything's okay, and then if for some reason it doesn't look okay, then they can go send someone out.
Right. There's a lot of those in between cases where you're not sure. That causes probably a lot of anxiety and travel, and that this would immediately solve. And
Yeah,
so,
and at the price point, we're hearing from our customers, like if there's a student at a school that becomes homebound, like the one at Voluntown, Connecticut, where they've deployed it. They had a student that became sick, and they were able to just go the next day and buy a KUBI and bring it in, because they didn't have to go through this 6-month process of investigating whether it was going to make sense in the budget.
right. It's a lean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lean, safe to fail. Like if it doesn't work, then I think it's $499 for a KUBI. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's $499. We do have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and then we do even offer a loaner program. Usually, we never get our loaners back because
Right,
they
of
purchase
course.
them. But that kind of explains how it is, and we want to make it easy for it to get into people's hands.
Right, which sounds pretty safe to fail. I mean, I've lost a lot more than $500 in my life. I'm sure that I'm not alone as an entrepreneur. I think there's lots of entrepreneurs that wouldn't blink at $500. So interesting. So with remote working then, what is the main challenge that you're solving? Is it really just the commuting, or the distance workers? What are the challenges that you're hearing about most that KUBI is solving for you?
Well, so the remote working is actually really about giving that person a presence in the office. So it's really, everyone thinks that, oh, KUBI is telepresence and we're going to just put it in the conference room. Like, it certainly works great there, but where it's really interesting is like how we have a number of customers, like one is a lawyer at Fenwick and West, and he actually puts KUBI on his desk when he works remotely. So it's on his desk in the office, but he's not in the office. And now has a presence there. He actually mostly works from his home in New York, and this is an office in Mountain View, California.
But he's
And
still at his desk all day. So whether he's in New York or with the KUBI,
Yeah.
he would still be at his desk in California. So
Yeah, so
right.
that's the thing, is that
Right.
now he has it's really about, now he has a presence there. So he's not even necessarily moving the KUBI or interacting with people all day, but now people can come and check in on him if they have a question. They walk in. He said he's had people do interviews. He's interviewed candidates where they
Brilliant.
came to his office in Mountain View, and he was only there on a KUBI, and he's now able to interact with them. You know, he could turn and look right at them.
I will do a blog post of that photograph and that story so that when this airs, it'll be live on our website. So if anybody wants to see that photograph, it'll be on our website.
Brilliant. Yeah. I think I saw it during the webinar and I loved it.
Yeah, we showed that one. And it's, it's really about just bringing back their presence. And even, a supervisor now, they're no longer concerned. Like that's often a concern when you're allowing your employee to work remote. Like, are they really working? Well, now, they're there. And so,
Right.
if they're sitting on KUBI, and even if you see them cranking away at their computer, if you walk by, they're working. So it's not only for kind of the executive that wants to be traveling, but it certainly works well for those, remote workers that are becoming more and more common.
It probably opens up a whole new form of office humor too. I mean, you could put wigs and hats and bow ties.
Yeah, we had like our customer at Etsy, they kind of dressed up their KUBI with a little like doll and
I'm trying to think about what you get when you put a KUBI in a blah blah blah, but I can't think of a joke for
that.
If anybody has ideas, you can put it in the show notes and in the comments. That would be hilarious.
Robot jokes.
Right. So then what are the challenges that people are facing when they're using the KUBI? I mean, it all sounds really great. Why wouldn't somebody do this?
Well, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of people holding back right now. It's that we're working to create more awareness of it. Is that and actually we're just about to launch KUBI Video 2.0, which is all-in-one video conferencing, and we're enabling the ability to connect into different contacts. And so the reasons why, I guess, people aren't adopting it today is they say, oh, well, our company already has Cisco, and we've already adopted these expensive systems, I can't bring it in. But in reality, often what's happening is the person who wants to use it is just going and buy it themselves, and then they show the company that, hey, look how easy this is. And we think that it's really about augmenting those systems. Is that okay? There's a time and a place for the dedicated telepresence room, but in reality, those are in like less than 5% of conference rooms. So all those other ones where something like this conference room size, which is designed for like 8 people, it's not most companies can't afford to put in traditional video conferencing. And so now with this, you can, and we're seeing companies putting it in, so they have like Children's Miracle Network hospitals. What did they put into their conference room, Jeff? Was it 4 or 5 KUBIs?
They put 4 or 5 into their conference room. Yeah, and there's a hospital that's using it. Where's that hospital? The Children's Hospital?
Oh, that one is in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. So yeah, they put a bunch into, so a bunch of people can attend their meetings because they have 50 or something remote workers. So when they have a big meeting, any number of people can come to that conference. I got an insight from a prospect, someone who has not bought KUBI yet, but they probably will. I asked, we were talking about why aren't more people doing this? And he said, because it's not quite part of the workflow yet, right? It's like, remember when fax machines were new and you'd ask someone, well, do you have a fax machine? And they'd be like, no, what's a fax machine? And suddenly then there were fax machines everywhere, and it became part of the natural workflow where you would just fax things to people. And then email, do you have email? What's email? I guess this was in the 90s. And suddenly everyone had email. It became part of the workflow. And this video calls will part of the workflow. It's slowly growing, right? FaceTime on the phone. A friend of mine regularly talks with his brother on FaceTime. I don't do it very much, but I feel like it's becoming part of the workflow. And as it does, this kind of thing will just become commonplace.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to me that there's some sort of a tipping point coming soon where people realize exactly, especially with more remote working, how important it is to be able to see each other and to interact each other. And I think actually one of the things that maybe people don't adopt this so quickly is because I would think a lot of people underestimate how important the ability to move is, and how much more of a layer, how much of a jump that is in engagement when you have that movement. I think that's kind of critical. You wouldn't notice it necessarily unless you experience it. So then you get the trouble of how do you get more people to experience this? So
yeah, certainly getting them to understanding the motion and why it's needed is important. But I think most people can very easily, understand that. If I was like, if I just show them that, it's like, okay, here's your typical laptop web camera view. And now, we're having a conversation. I'm going to write something on the whiteboard and all these things. It becomes very clear, of why you would need or want that.
right. Well, and anybody that's been a remote worker who's attending a meeting where everybody else is in the conference room and you're trying to hear who's next to you or what's being written on the whiteboard, and you're just, this is big for
the
that.
other challenge, and it's interesting. A lot of larger, more established corporations just have not adopted video really at all, except for those very few, like the board meetings where they have the video conference. And these companies, they do often have a lot of remote workers, but they just haven't brought in video, and so it's kind of okay. We want to show them that it's easy and accessible to use, but there's some of just the culture that people are like, oh, I work from home, I like to be in my pajamas,
Right.
so they have to, which I think a lot of like technology companies, people are like, oh, come to work in whatever you're wearing, however you're dressed. And so those types of companies are more of the early adopters of it, that are like, fine, okay, you're in your pajamas and your dog is jumping on you. It's okay. That, like, I understand you're working from home. As long as you get your work done, it's okay, to do that.
Right. Well, and it also solves two big issues that I see. One is there's a lot of extroverts who, when they work from home, they feel very isolated and away from people. So, I know I've used tools like Squiggle and things, or just leaving Hangouts on sometimes when I'm having a collaborative session so that I can see the people that I'm working with. While even if we're not talking, it's nice to just have the video there so that I'm not totally alone while I'm working. And it sort of solves some of that extrovert craving that I have to just be around people, even when I can't be around people because I'm working from my office. And then another thing. Oh, go ahead.
And kind of along those lines, I would like to get to show you the demo of KUBI video and how we can do this teleporting, so you can kind of see what the experience would be like within an office, so that you can quickly jump from location to location. I know you've kind of seen it from the other end of, okay, I'm in the room with the KUBI, but now I could show you what controls that Jeff has. And the way that you can just easily jump from location to location.
So are we able to do that if I give you the ability to, or if you share your screen?
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what I'll do. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and here's the window. Okay. Okay. So this is our KUBI video dashboard, and what it does is it actually has a list of different available KUBIs over here on the right side. And so Jeff is actually on this Marcus KUBI that's I brought in the office, and that's mine, and that's why it's showing up as red, because it's already being occupied. But I can now go and jump into or teleport to any other one that's on this list. So I have 3 different ones set up. You click just so that you're about to enter a video meeting, and since it's running WebRTC, so it's just in a browser, I click allow, and now boom, I'm talking. Oliver's not I can see Oliver's not at his desk, but I'm able to go there and, oh, maybe he's over talking to Ilya. Nope, he's not there either. And so but then I can go jump to another location. So, okay, there was Oliver's desk. That wasn't right. This is a different one. This is one we have from our website where anyone can log into it actually at any time. There's just a log into Live KUBI Now button. And it starts looking out the window, and it has some fun little, instructions, and you can go ahead and even actually
Brilliant.
see yourself on a KUBI. So there's us seeing ourselves.
Wow, it's so meta. It's blowing my brains a little.
yeah, it's a little baffling of what's going on there. That was a mirror, and then I can go and oops, actually we are jumping on that one.
There's a joke. How do I look as a robot? I don't know. Look in the mirror.
Yeah. So you can see, it's easy. I mean, it's basically 2 clicks. One you click on the specific device, and then the next one you just allow the camera and microphone, and now you're actually interacting with someone remotely. My team doesn't start till 10 our time usually, so they're not in here yet.
Right. They're out getting the cup of coffee. So it looks like it's controlled through the browser, and that it's kind of a click and drag through the browser. Is that right?
Yeah, so actually what it is, it's a click to center. So like say I want to center on this coffee cup, I just click on that, and then it makes that my new center of view. And why that's great, as opposed to like having arrow keys, is that that it's going to move to that absolute position. So that if there's like a Wi-Fi latency, say I get like a freeze in my video, well, then I'm going to think, oh, maybe it didn't get that input. I want to keep clicking on it.
And suddenly you're spinning around.
Yeah, you're overshooting, and you're not going to where you want to. But this way, I click, and then it moves there, and I know to not input another motion until it's completely done the move. And we've done some interesting things where you can save a view. So here we have this save view button, and then it populates this little number 1 here, and let's go come to another view. We'll check out our little electronics bench there, and then I click another save view, and then I can just go back and click 1, and it goes back to that last view.
Oh.
We'll go back to the bench, and you can even access these. So now I'm going to just press 1 on my keyboard, so you can just have a bunch of different ones, and then just easily control them with your keyboard. So
that restaurant in Japan has you imagine that these KUBIs are in that restaurant in 5 restaurants in Japan, in Kobe, Osaka, Nara, and Tokyo. You could just teleport from restaurant to restaurant rather than getting on the bullet train.
Right. I mean, this has got to save so much time and so much. I mean, the commute anywhere is. Yeah, this is brilliant.
Right.
And the other thing that I can imagine that this really solves for business, in every interview that I do, and I've done a lot of interviews now, in every interview that I do, the one thing that comes up every time is the issue of trust with remote workers. How do we know people are working? And if you're not I work with a number of different clients, so it's not like I'm necessarily online with one person all day, but if I were working on a team and you wanted to know if that person were working, having this there, just the video stream, seems like it would be a no-brainer.
Right.
So that solves the issue of trust. If that's a major issue in a company, if people really do need to see you, then this is really a great way to do that.
Yeah, that was just like what I had said earlier, how, bosses, you always wonder, I mean, I let my employees work from home, very often as well. And it's like, if they're not on the KUBI, then it's like, what are they doing right now? Like, are they really working?
Right.
I'm working, it's like, okay.
But it's good to know. I mean, maybe you want to go jogging or something, and you say, I'm going to sign off for an hour, and then at least somebody knows, okay, they're out jogging, or whatever it is, the agreed upon schedule that employees want to have with each other.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be, micromanaging them, but you want to just know that, you're paying them and you're getting your money's worth, that
Right.
they're working all that you're expecting them to.
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
Get to work.
Interesting. So then I guess we can wrap it up a little bit here, I think, which is maybe the last question I should ask is if people want to know more, if they want to buy these, what's the process and where do they go? Where can they find you? What's the best place?
Yeah, so our website is revolverobotics.com. And we do have the ability to purchase them there, and we have a number of resellers and distributors that are also listed on our website so that they can buy through. So many companies want to buy through the dealers that they're already buying their IT equipment through.
And do you have global resellers also? So for people in Europe or?
Right now we have one set up in Japan. And
Of course.
we will ship internationally. We're actually actively looking for some resellers and distributors in Europe because we have a lot of interest there, but we just haven't yet got them set up.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that won't be hard to find.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of, so this will be fun because a lot of my audience is European. So at least you'll reach that market out.
Great. Well, maybe we'll find a distributor through this.
Yeah, for sure. Great. All right. Well, is there anything else? Was there something that I didn't ask that I should have asked that we need to know about the KUBI?
Jeff, anything else that you can think of?
Nothing I can think of. I think that was pretty thorough. We gave you some great case studies.
I guess the only other things that I could share about it is the connectivity with like accessories like speaker phones, and we have a KUBI Secure. So KUBI is actually designed really as a modular system. Like here, actually, I'll just show you that it's got a conformable tablet mount. You can put the tablet on virtually any tablet in portrait or landscape. And that's the one that's nice if you're using the tablet also for other things. But we have a version that's called the KUBI Secure, and that actually locks down both the tablet and the KUBI with the Kensington lock. So then you can now, if you want to leave it in a more public space, whether it's a kind of a public conference room or a reception area, you can do that.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that would be an important issue actually. If you have all these iPads and expensive equipment lying around.
Yeah, and we made it so all the charging ports stay accessible. So we explicitly didn't design it for like one specific device where you have a charging dock in it, because then probably by the time you get the device, you're going to already have a new iPad or a new tablet, and so it's not going to be compatible with it anymore. And since it connects over Bluetooth 4.0, which is a connectivity that we expect to be in all future tablets and devices, it will continue to work as you get new ones.
And it also looks as if it's wireless.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
It does charge through a mini USB, but it is completely like wireless. So Jeff is, now it's completely unplugged, and Jeff's still able to, control and move the device.
And what's the battery life?
So it has 4 hours of battery life. Is the standard battery life in there. In the future, we are looking to actually roll out accessories that would be a base that will have a battery pack within it, and that will be something that would work with the existing KUBI that you have, because actually it's a standard tripod mount base, so you can see it's just got a tripod screw there.
Okay, wow.
So if you want to, like we have many customers that don't want to use the standard base, then they can put it on a tripod, so then you can easily adjust it to whatever height you want it, or any type of like tripod mount. clamp. And then as far as audio, the audio on tablets, it works pretty good if you have maybe 2 or 3 people around within 5 to 6 feet of the KUBI. But once you go kind of beyond that, you often want to have enhanced audio. So you can either tie it into your existing speakerphone system that you have, like say you use Zoom, and Zoom has a dial-in line, and you can use that, which is a little more difficult to set up. Or you can use a variety of Bluetooth and wired speakerphones that are out there. We have some different ones on our website that we recommend that we've tried that work well. But so that way, like some of them, like the Phoenix ones, those you can have people, up to 20 feet away from the speakerphone, and you can still be hearing it, just like they were in the same room with you.
Yeah, and I think those technologies are increasingly important with the distributed workforce, because now we have them. There's no reason to not implement something where everybody can hear well and see well, and we can actually start really collaborating together, which is fun.
Right. And then since it is all based on KUBI is all based on apps, we're able to continually improve the product. So like when we originally launched this a year ago, we did not have this KUBI video that we're showing here today. And so we've rolled that out, and we're planning to implement within KUBI video and other applications more like auto tracking features in the future, which many people have asked about. Is like, oh, can it follow who's speaking, or follow a face and that sort of thing. So those all with the same KUBI product can just be rolled out as app updates, and those are kind of what we have coming.
Brilliant. So you're not, it's not going to be like the iPad where you have to buy a new one every few years.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to still go buy a new iPad because you're going to have better cameras or connectivity or who knows what, but you'll be wanting to buy more KUBIs, but you won't have to replace the ones already.
Right. Brilliant. I totally love it. Oh, I hope this is very successful. It seems to me like it's a no-brainer for remote working, especially when I hear about the challenges people are facing. I mean, when the challenge is trust and lack of engagement, well, then there's a solution.
Yeah, and it's just super easy to set up. I mean, literally, to set up the KUBI, you just launch the app and it automatically connects and it's ready to go. And then you just send an invite, or the person adds you to their contact list, and then they can just click right on there, and one click and they're logged into a KUBI as well.
Right. And also it's less scary than a robot. I've got to say, it's much more, I think that's going to be a big deal. I mean, for me, the telepresence robots, when I first heard about it, I signed up immediately. I had to drive it, but it turns out I'm the most enthusiastic person I know about it. And so, I offered free demos and, free robot demos to people, and nobody took me up on it. Nobody at all. And I thought, I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah.
But this is less intimidating.
Yeah. And I think that at the right time, the roaming robots will, exist in certain applications. But
for sure.
Right now, with the Wi-Fi connectivity and just people still just have a fear. I mean, if you have a roaming video camera in your office, that's kind of a security risk.
Right.
The wrong person logs into it. Where this, it's in one location, more controlled. It doesn't have its own autonomy. I think there was even a press article about how one of the roaming robots broke out of where it was supposed to be.
Oh man, the robots are coming.
This is not. I mean, almost. A lot of people are like, "Wait, that's not a robot. It doesn't have wheels." So.
Right. That's just an iPad. It's not so weird.
Yeah. So it's like trying to make it not intimidating.
Right. Well, I love it. I'm very excited to have the chance to talk with you guys. I appreciate you taking the time. And I hope that this video will help you get more resellers in Europe. We'll see. You'll have to let me know.
Okay,
Let me
yeah,
know.
definitely will.
All right, so I'll sign off and I'll stop the recording shortly. But until next time, everybody, be powerful.